Welcome back again to our channel. We are Marina's Coaching Academy. And आज हम लोग जो डिस्कस कर रहे हैं वो ये डिस्कस कर रहे हैं रूल नंबर 10 TSS, जिसकी सिचुएशन आपकी स्क्रीन के सामने है. एक पीडीवी है इन अ जनरल डायरेक्शन ऑफ फ्लो एंड देयर इज अ पीडीवी क्रॉसिंग यू फ्रॉम स्टारबोर्ड टू पोर्ट. नाउ व्हेन यू आर डूइंग ओरल्स, सो व्हाट शुड बी द सीक्वेंस ऑफ योर आंसर. आपको आंसर कैसे करना है, व्हाट सर्वेयर इज एक्सपेक्टिंग फ्रॉम यू, दैट आल्सो यू हैव टू कीप इन माइंड. तो उसकी एक सीक्वेंस होती है. whenever you are answering in the exam hall, there is a sequence for that. So I have written a sequence. If you see your screen, right on the left hand side of your screen, you will see I have written a sequence. I'll describe it one by one, so please pay attention to this. So the first thing is you need to describe the scene. तो सर्वेयर को आप जब डिस्क्राइब कर रहे हो सीन, so please use keywords. Don't just say a vessel. You should be able to see the vessel. Anyways, he'll be telling you that this is a PDV, other side is PDV. As in this situation you are seeing, एक PDV है जो general direction of flow पे है, and there is another PDV which is crossing from starboard to port. So describe that scene to the surveyor. Second is determine if risk of collision is existing or not. It is very, very important. If there is no ROC, then you will not be able to apply the rules. Okay, normal TSS rules will apply, but if there is no ROC, you will pass each other without even paying attention to each other. Whenever there is a ROC, don't forget to use the words like bearing is constant, range is decreasing, because these also count that you are taking a bearing, which is very, very important. आप अगर bearing नहीं बोलते हो oral में, so he will take it as that you've not done a visual, what do you call, visual bearing you have not taken. You're just relying on a equipment. So these words are very, very important. इसके बगैर जो है oral में you will not have success. So bearing constant is very important. Range is decreasing is also a key word. Once you've done that, then you will start calculating in your mind how will rules apply. So when you are thinking about the rules, don't isolate the rules. Keep whole ROR book into your mind while applying the rules. That becomes my third point. And fourth point is final action will be as per rule number 8. If you go to rule number 8, action to avoid collision, यही उसमें लिखा हुआ है कि you can do alteration or reduction, or also if it is impeding or impeding safe passage wala situation, or if it is any passage impeding wala situation, then you will also be using 8F part first, second and third. There is one more important factor here, which is location of the vessel. वो भी बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है, because sometimes we are not looking where the vessel is locating. So हम लोग सीधे action ले लेते हैं. So that also you need to figure out. And last में, if you need to avoid collision, you avoid collision by any means. Okay, so you can also use rule number 2, but in exceptional circumstances or where a limitation of vessel is involved, or where there are all dangers of navigation and collision, then only. If you can solve it, or you can simply solve it, then there is no need, or there is no need to use the application of 2B. Now let's look at this situation. It is very, very simple situation. There is a PDV. So let's now start how I've explained it to you, and I will tell the answer now. So basically, I will start with my answer like this by describing a scene that there is a PDV in a TSS following a general direction of flow. There is another PDV on my starboard side crossing me from starboard to port. Then, if risk of collision is existing, bearing is constant and range is decreasing, I will start thinking about the rules. So in this case, first I'll think about rule number 10, which talks about that 10A, this rule applies to traffic separation schemes adopted by organization and does not relieve any vessel of her obligation under any other rule. Which means here, if I say application will be 10A. So 10A says you're not relieved of your obligation under any other rule. So in this situation, rule number 15 will come into picture. This is a crossing situation, right? I'm not relieved of my duty under any other rule. So rule 15 applies. Rule 15 says that when there are two power driven vessels and they are crossing so as to involve in a risk of collision, and if a vessel has another on a starboard side, she shall keep out of the way. And if the circumstances of case admit, avoid crossing ahead of other vessel. So rule number 15, I become a giveaway vessel. That is me. So I become responsible, right? And now I need to take a final action. So I will go to rule number 8. In this situation, I am seeing my location also. I am locating in the center of the channel. So I have got the space on the starboard side over here. So I can alter to the starboard side, right? So I go to rule number 8. In rule number 8, the final action I will be taking as per 8C, right? Because it is written in 8C that if you've got a sufficient sea room, alteration of the course is most effective action. So I have taken action as per 8C. And now in this case, obviously rule number 2 has no significance. So I will not go to the 5th step. So that is how you are going to deal with the situations, different kind of situations in your exam. So right now I've just told you, so this all calculation which you are doing like 10A and rule number 15, you don't have to say this in exam. You will just be calculating it in your mind and the final answer will be very, very short. So let's see the final answer. I just wanted to also tell you my thinking process. Now we are going to the final answer. So I am a PDV following a general direction flow. She is a PDV crossing me from starboard to port. If ROC exists, bearing is constant, range is decreasing, I am responsible under rule number 15. In this case, I will alter to starboard, end of story. And that is how you will end up your answer in the oral examination. If he asks you, why and which rules did you apply? Then you can say, sir, it is written in 10A. I'm not relieved of my duty under any other rule. So rule 15 applies. And rule 15 says I should avoid crossing ahead. And avoid crossing ahead, I can alter to starboard, I can reduce speed or alter to port, also make the course parallel. But in this case, as I am in the TSS, the best action is alteration, of course, because I have a room on my starboard side. So you will just be altering like this. You will just be altering in this direction, right? And then finally, you will again come back to your course. So alteration will become the best action over here. All right. So that is how you are going to deal with these kind of situations. Let's try another situation now. And let's try change the location of the vessel also and try to see what happens in the next situation. So now I'm going to again try it with different kind of vessel, which is called vessel engaged in fishing. And you've got a vessel over here again. And so I'm making it over here. And this is PDV, this is you. Now, let's start again. So you will again describe the scene saying that you're a PDV following a general direction flow and she is vessel engaged in fishing. Vessel engaged in fishing, crossing you from starboard to port, right? Now, again, if ROC is existing, bearing is constant, range is decreasing, right? So in this case, you will say that also. Now you start doing the application of rules. So this is you are thinking which rules are applicable in this case. So I started looking into rule number 10A first. 10A says I am not relieved of my duty under any other rule. It takes me to rule number 18, isn't it? And rule number 18 says that I am responsible. That is what it says. So if I get the answer, I get the answer as power driven vessel. But it also says, rule number 18, except it also says in rule number 18 that except where rule 9, 10, and 13 otherwise required. So this has no significance now, right? So now I again go back to rule number 10. If there is something written for vessel engaged in fishing, yes, it is written, and that is this: if you are a vessel engaged in fishing, right, you should not impede first any passage. It is not saying safe passage, it is saying any passage of a vessel. And second condition is that vessel should follow a general direction flow. So in this case, PDV is a vessel, yes it is, and it is following a general direction flow also. So in this case, who is responsible now? Vessel engaged in fishing. Vessel engaged in fishing becomes responsible, isn't it? Because now this is a situation of impeding a passage, right? And as per the application of rule, who is responsible as per rule number 10? It is vessel engaged in fishing. And if she is responsible, what you will do? Of course, you will have to sound 5 short rapid blast to gain her attention. If still she is not taking any action, I go to the fourth step, which is a final action. So what is my final action? Has to come from 8F, right? 8F rule, because it is a situation of impeding, right? So now final action, what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to apply rule number 8. I'm going to keep that in mind, right? And final action I'm going to reduce here. Now many will argue that why I'm going for a reduction here. I already told you that you need to also think about location of a ship, because I know if I alter, I'm going to end up in the inshore traffic zone, which is a breach of rule number 10. I can avoid that simply by reduction of speed. Practically also, if you end up in an inshore traffic zone, of course a VTS is going to call you and ask you why you've entered into a zone, and then if you give this reason that I just wanted to avoid this situation, I entered into inshore traffic zone, they will definitely ask you that why the reduction was not the option to you, and then you have no answers as OW or a master or anybody on bridge. So in this case, that is why I told you that location of the vessel is also very, very important. And obviously, rule number 5 will not come into picture, right? Because you don't need it. You've already taken the action. So that is the second situation which we have talked about. Let's go and talk about the third situation again, where I'm going to change the location again, and I'm going to just rub that and come back to another situation with the sailing vessel. Let's convert it into a sailing vessel here. Again, your vessel is somewhere here in the center of the channel, right? And now let's start with what surveyor is expecting from you to describe a scene again. So you describe a scene that I am a PDV following a general direction flow. She is a sailing vessel crossing me from starboard to port. If there is, determine if ROC is existing, and that I'm going to do with the visual bearing. If bearing is constant, range is decreasing, it means definitely ROC is existing. Now I will start applying the rules. So rule number 10A, I am not relieved of my duty under any other rule, right? So rule number 18 comes to your mind first, which makes PDV responsible, isn't it? Right? So the answer who is responsible comes as PDV. But it also says in rule number 18 clearly that except where rule 9, 10, 13 otherwise require. So is there anything written in rule number 10? Yes, it is written. If you go to rule number 10J, it is written. What is written there? 10J says if you are a vessel less than 20 meter in length or a sailing vessel shall not impede, shall not impede, shall not impede what? First condition is safe passage. What is the second condition here? Second condition is you should be a power driven vessel. And the third condition over here is you should be following a general direction of flow. So all the three conditions, if one is not met, 10J will not be applicable, right? अगर वो मेरा safe passage को नहीं काट रहा है, so it will not be applicable. So all the three conditions should be fulfilled. अगर वो एक PDV नहीं है, so this will not be again applicable. If I'm not following the general direction of flow, obviously it will not be applicable. 10J. So अगर मैं यहाँ पे sailing vessel की जगह यहाँ पे PDV की जगह कोई और vessel रख दूं, say for example ram, obviously 10J will not be applicable. It requires a PDV over there. Now let's come back to the PDV situation where this is our PDV. So what all conditions are fulfilled? So अगर मैं देखूं यहाँ पे तो सेफ पैसेज के बारे में बाद में बात करेंगे. पीडीवी है, हाँ है. क्या ये जनरल डायरेक्शन ऑफ फ्लो पे जा रहा है? यस. बट इज ही कटिंग द सेफ पैसेज? नो, it is not cutting the safe passage because this TSS is not a deep draft route. Either there are no buoys which are placed over here. अगर यहाँ पे buoys होते तो ये safe passage हो जाता. यहाँ पे अब buoys नहीं है तो ये safe passage नहीं है. So if there are buoys, it is a safe passage situation. If there are no buoys, it is not a safe passage situation. Same if it is deep draft, of course, it becomes a kind of a safe passage situation. If it is not deep draft, then it is your normal situation. Now, in this case, 10J is applicable? No, it is not applicable. So what is applicable now? It is applicable 10A. और 10A क्या बोलता है? You are not relieved of your duty under any other rule. So rule number 18 will be applicable. So now you have to take action. So you go to the fourth step. So what you do? Alteration is the best action. So you apply 8C. Because you've got a sufficient sea room, isn't it? You've got a sufficient sea room on this side. You apply 8C, alter to starboard, right? And that is what we do. We are going to just alter to starboard. When the CPA increases, again, we will make it parallel, right? So just do alteration of starboard because you've got a sea room available. That is why I said location of the vessel is also important. And obviously rule number 2 will not be applicable in this case, right? So these are different kind of situations. When you are doing it in an exam, whatever I have told you on working, I have told you on the right side of your screen, that has to go in your mind. So in real exam situation, you will just say this: I am a PDV following a general direction of flow. She is a sailing vessel crossing me from starboard to port. So I will take a bearing. If bearing is constant, range is decreasing, ROC is existing. In this case, I am responsible as per rule number 18 because of 10A. So I will be altering because I've got a sufficient sea room, and according to 8C, alteration is the best effective method to avoid any kind of ROC situation because you clear the vessel faster. I alter to starboard. So these are the these are the steps and the sequence you should keep in mind while answering. You can like, share, comment, and you can also let us know what all videos you need in future, and we'll be coming and discussing those kind of situations also in our segment. Thank you.